I mean, I went through a phase where I went to the Zodiac like 3-4 times a week and checked out all these little bands, and I loved it in there. And especially when you get independent venues like the Sound House,
Yes,
or some half the ones in Camden, to be honest, where they're little venues and they're just tucked away. Like, I mean, you've been to the Underworld.
Yes, oh crikey, Napalm Death at the Underworld, my word,
brutal. But that kind of thing. I mean, I like that. But then there's always a place for when you come to the summer and you go to a festival or you go to a big stadium gig. I love that as well. I mean, that's just an awesome experience. So I probably always choose small. But then having said that, I love little jaunts down to the NEC and see bands there as well. But I think I probably choose small. But there's nothing beats the media hype and sense of occasion from a big arena gig.
Have you ever thought that you've seen a band who are too big for the venue? And do you think that suffers them negatively?
Yeah, I mean, there's like I'll give you an example. We saw Malefis at Hellfire last year. Now, Hellfire was a shambles of a festival, really. When the evening got going, it was fine. It was a festival that was also shared with Music Live. Obviously, not conference, is it? It's kind of a show exhibit.
Yeah.
But the bands that were on while that exhibit was going on during the day were in conference rooms around the NEC.
I've never ever been to a gig which had carpet.
Yeah, it was Malefis playing on a tiny stage in front of about 30 people in a conference room, and this was when they were really on the rise. And I mean, I know you're not a huge Malefis fan.
No. But
they've grown on me quite a lot. But again, I mean, they were, by the time that gig came round, their popularity was far greater than that of the venue they were in. But then I was going to say Skindered on the Jaeger stage at Hammerfest the year before last. But then I suppose that's the point of an acoustic stage.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think what we can probably conclude from that is that size doesn't necessarily have an impact on a venue. It depends on the band again who's playing.
It's the band and the context they're in. I mean, I love it when bands get big really quickly and they've already booked tours.
Yeah.
That's sweet, and you've got a ticket and suddenly you see somebody huge. But then you've got people like Ozzy's playing the Zodiac in a couple of months, in a month's time. It's what? But then it's a warm-up show and everybody knows he's out of context, and that's the reason for it.
Remember that Dragon Force used to do warm-up shows in the Zodiac? I don't think they still will, but they used to do warm-up shows in the Zodiac.
They'd be lucky if they can get a show in the Zodiac.
Well, we will see what happens there.
Anyway, we'll move on. So, yeah, something that we've mentioned there is another factor, is media hype, I think.
Yeah, I mean, some gigs are... Let's say, for example, a recent gig appeared, The Wall, TV adverts.
Yeah, I mean, it's everywhere. And the Wall, is it a big deal? It was a big deal. I mean, is it a big deal now? I mean...
I've heard arguments both ways. Some people say this is going to be amazing, it's going to be the best thing since progressively sliced bread. And there's other people who say, yeah, it's The Wall plus 30 years.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why they're doing it, I heard an interview and they said the reason why they're doing it is, A, people are willing to pay enough money now to make so that they can put on the stage show they want to. And secondly, because technology has moved on so they can put on the stage show they want to. I don't know. I think we kind of expect amazing these days, especially from a £67 a ticket gig.
Yeah, I mean, that's the bare minimum it will cost you to get in, unless you get knockoffs or something.
Yeah.
Is £67. Thanks, Ticketmaster.
Yeah, extra handling fees. But this is my point. It's like I don't think it's particularly relevant at the moment. But and it's being hyped up, and I suppose it ought to be hyped up. But then I don't know. 30 years ago, yeah, significant. Now, not so sure.
I mean, I'll give you a personal contrast thing for that. Is I saw Napalm Death at the Underworld, as previously mentioned, and that gig was almost not advertised at all.
But that's the nature of the genre, though, isn't it? Grindcore doesn't generally go in. It's like punk; it doesn't generally.
No, you get the feeling of that one. It was kind of our little secrets. There was like a secret napalm going on, and only like you were on the grapevine, you kind of found out.
So there you go. There was no media hype for that one. Did you feel that heightened your excitement? Did you think it made it a better gig or a worse gig?
I don't think it made that much difference, to be fair.
Okay.
I think it kind of fits in with our anticipation a bit. If there's a lot of hype, it builds anticipation. But I don't think the hype on its own necessarily has an impact, unless it's like, I don't know, some particular events really kicked on, like 30 years since British Steel or something like that.
So if it's like an anniversary tour,
yeah,
that's a big deal. Or as we said earlier, 10 years since they played in the country or something.
Yeah, I mean, AC/DC's Donington one's a prime example because it's like, was it how many years?
It's 30 years since Donington started, but it's also the first time. I don't know if it is the first time they played since they did the live DVD, but you know, it's basically recreating one of the best live DVDs of all time.
Yeah.
So that's significant in its own right. And to be honest, most metalheads would know that. They don't need the build up, but again, it gives it its own occasion. But there's also linked to this is that your mates as well. It's not just the media, but people you know. I mean, if people say to you, "Oh, this band's great, you've got to see them."
Yeah.
You know, maybe that anticipation can lead to it being a better gig. I don't know.
I think I'd add in at this point, Rob dragging me on to Vault for that was kind of an example of that where he said, "Yeah, this is Vault for, this is an amazing band," dragged us along to Asylum, and then indeed it was an excellent gig.
Does that taint you though? Do you feel pressure because you ought to like it because someone else does, or do you feel resentment because you think, "I don't like this"? Is it maybe if the person that recommends it to you don't like, you then are more inclined not to like the band?
I went to the last download with Jason, and there were a lot of bands there I would normally not have got on with, but I tolerated them more because he knew about them, and you kind of always felt like you weren't just watching a band you didn't know about, you were watching the band he knew about. And that kind of made it slightly more engaging.
I must admit, when I've been to gigs with people who are more knowledgeable than I about them, I'm willing to give them a bit more patience, maybe, than you would normally.
Well, how about you and Moon Sorrow? It's like you're like, I hate Moon Sorrow, and it's like, I love Moon Sorrow.
See, I'll watch Moon Sorrow because you like them, but I'm not going to like them because you like them.
Oh, fair enough.
Because they're shit.
I mean, one day we're going to do a Brothers of Metal on Moon Sorrow, and you'll see.
I'm not going to. We're not, because I'm never going to listen to their back catalogue.
That might just be our brother in metal.
Brother in metal. Quit the band. Which brings us neatly on to, we probably should talk about the band now. We've mentioned it a couple of times, but surely the band is the key factor into whether a gig's awesome or not.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're not just talking about the band pedigree as such. I mean, AC/DC have got a huge back catalogue, massive following, everything. Every time they play, it's a sense of occasion. But also, we mentioned like the personal affiliation to a band. So it could be a tiny little band, like Sum 41 for me. Okay, It's not metal, I admit. But I was trying to see Sum 41 for ages. I mean, I grew up on that pop punk thing. So, you know, when we finally got to see them, albeit they were rubbish on the day, it was a sense of occasion. But also, the circumstances of the band. Has somebody just been fired? Has somebody just rejoined again? Have they just come off the back of a cracking new album?
Has one just died?
Well, there's been a lot of that recently.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm dying to see Evil. That's the wrong phrase. I'm desperate to see Evil because I've not seen them since poor Mike Alexander passed away. So when we see them at the Sonosphere, it's going to be.
Although I think us metalheads wouldn't necessarily have that morbid fascination to go and see a band just because we've heard someone died in the band.
It's the other way around. I mean, I want to see them because they're playing great tunes at the moment, but also you want to show your support for them.
Yeah.
It's not you want to point to their bass player and go, "Oh, he was the other guy last time we saw them." It's you want to really show them that we're behind them.
Yeah.
And it's the same reason why it'll be great to see Stone Sour again, just to show Corey that he's got our support. I mean, it may be that you won't see Slipknot again, so it will have to be the Weird Adults or Stone Sour.
Yeah, possibly. But I think the thing about bands is it's very much personal taste. Because obviously, you are excited to see the bands that you like, and not excited to see the bands you don't like.
Funny enough, I've actually written Moon Sorrow down here for you.
Hey, there you go, exactly that. Flyleaf. Jason would like to go and see Flyleaf. I wasn't that bothered.
I can't believe anybody would want to deliberately see Flyleaf.
I had the offer to see Flyleaf in the States, and I wasn't that bothered.
See, that's the irony. I'd love to see a band overseas. I think it'd be great. I almost went to see the Deftones in Paris, but it's like just because it's overseas doesn't make them a great band.
No,
you know.
But you know, going back to bands. I mean, for example, my favourite gig was Blind Guardian because they're my favourite band, and to see your favourite band combined with that anticipation factor made it the best gig.